Hi, cozy gamers, and welcome to the new year. Although 2025 is now in full swing upon us, I wanted to take a moment and reflect on 2024 and talk about some of the most memorable cozy games that came out last year. Whether you're here today looking for some new cozy game recommendations versus the ones to avoid, or you're looking to compare your thoughts on games to my own, welcome to my channel. My name's Wade, and without further ado, let's get into it. The first game that I want to talk about today is Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Completes. As a lot of you guys probably know by this point, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp first released as a free-to-play mobile game about 7 years ago, but was really heavy on the microtransactions. But just this past December 2nd, the game re-released as its complete form, with a one-time payment to play and no microtransactions going forward. With the original game that came out about 7 years ago, I did play for the first couple months and really enjoyed it. However, I found that over time my interest in it dwindled, and sometimes the microtransactions were just too heavy to the point that I felt like I couldn't get any of the beautiful decor or outfits without actually paying money in the game. So I was very excited to see when this complete version came out with no microtransactions. But was it all that different from the original game, and would it hold my interest a bit more? As of the time of this video, it's a little over a month since the release of Pocket Camp Complete, and although I'm not necessarily playing it as much as when it first came out, which was every single day at the time, I am still playing maybe every other day to every 3 days and logging in. Although there are no microtransactions in the game anymore, you can definitely tell sometimes that the whole model and system of the game was originally built around microtransactions. What I mean by that is there are just certain things in the game, like crafting, that require certain materials, and it feels as though with the original game, you may have been able to spend actual money to get those materials or craft certain things or speed up certain processes. And yet, in this game, for certain situations, you can't do those things and are just out of luck. I think if the developers are able to go in and rebalance some of these things, such as the handing out of certain materials, as well as the total time needed for crafting certain objects, then it won't feel as unbalanced as it currently does, and may be able to hold my interest a bit more for playing the long haul. Although I don't think this game is going to be winning any awards for innovative gameplay anytime soon, I will say it has been a really nice game to have just to spend some spare time when you have it. And to me, that's what mobile games are all about. For the first 2 months after Pocket Camp Complete's release, the game is half off on the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store for only $10 USD. And to me, for the amount of time that I've already spent in the game, and even thinking ahead to the time that I'll spend going forward playing it, even if I do dwindle in interest some more, I do feel like that $10 purchase has been absolutely worth it. Now, if you didn't grab the game during its $10 window and it has gone to its full price of $20 USD, I might be a little bit iffy if the game is worth it at that full price. So what I would recommend is checking out some gameplay videos or some streams of people playing the game, and at that point, use your best discretion to decide if it's the right game for you. With that said, I think I'm going to place our first game of the day, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Complete, in this second tier here, the A rank. The next game that I want to talk about is one called Amber Isle. I was a little bit hesitant when this game first came out because I was worried it was going to be a Paleo Pines copycat, which is another cozy game all about dinosaurs that released within the last couple of years. However, jumping into the game, I quickly found out that it really does have an identity of its own and was immediately greeted with a character customization that was super extensive. In the game, you play as a cute little dinosaur who has crash landed on Amber Isle. And in order to fix up the island, you are tasked with running your very own shop. While playing, I did find some issues where the tutorials and how they taught you to run your shop, as well as how to go about selling certain items, didn't fully match up with how the gameplay actually worked. And in addition, sometimes certain tasks like material gathering to craft items for your shop felt a little bit grindy. But with that said, I still feel like the overall gameplay was super fun, and the developers did a good job of making something really unique to play. So, for our second game today, I believe that I'm going to put this one at an A rank as well. The next one we're going to talk about is one called Botney Manor. Botney Manor came out back in April, and immediately upon playing the demo beforehand, I was really excited to experience the adventure, story, and beautiful art style of this incredible game. The full game definitely did not disappoint in terms of its beautiful art style, story, and the incredible puzzles along the way. I'd say, if anything, my only complaint for it is just how short the game was. It took only 5 hours for me to not only complete the game, but also to obtain all 36 of its achievements. But other than that, I really don't have anything negative to say about this one. So I think I will put Botany Manor. Oh, I think because of how short it was, I'm gonna put it at A. I'm gonna put it at A. I know we're having a lot of A's right now, and I swear we're going to switch it up, but I don't think this one is gonna get an S rank from me. Not yet. We're not ready for that one. All right, the next game that we're gonna talk about is called Critter Cove, and this game really took me by surprise, but in the best way possible. The game starts out with one of the most extensive character creators I've ever seen. Character creator? Critter creator. A lot of players point out the Animal Crossing-like gameplay throughout it, which is completely understandable because the game really surrounds around you fixing up this island and inviting new critters to move in. But I feel like it's a very nice blend of Animal Crossing along with a little bit of Subnautica too. And what I mean by that is that throughout the game, you have a lot of underwater exploration that you can do. But don't worry, there's no leviathans in this game. Throughout your underwater exploration, you'll uncover hidden treasures, and overall, the adventuring just feels so incredibly rewarding. Once again, I really don't feel like I have anything negative to say about this game. And for all of these reasons, I believe that Critter Cove is going to be our first S rank on our tier today. All right, next up is Caravan Sandwich. And I find a lot of people within the cozy game community either have not played this game or just have not heard about it completely. And I've got to say, y'all have been really sleeping on this one. This is overall an adventure game with some very light platforming and puzzle mechanics to it. But overall, what looped me in was the rewarding exploration, unique art style, and fantastic sound score. Upon its release back in September, this was really my go-to cozy game for a while, and I've gotta say it played very nicely on the Steam Deck. I've gotta say my only complaint about the game would be that the ending felt pretty unsatisfactory and not matching the caliber of the full game up to that point. But even with that said, I think that I can look past it for this one because I'm going to put Caravan Sandwich as our second S tier game of the day today. So once again, if you haven't played this one, haven't checked it out, you enjoy adventure games, really, really recommend it. The next game that we're going to talk about is Europa. This game went a little bit viral when it first came out for having such a Studio Ghibli-inspired art style that we find in movies like My Neighbor Totoro and Howl's Moving Castle. And indeed, the art style in it was quite incredible, as well as the peaceful voice acting and pleasant sound score. Aside from that though, I wasn't wowed by the overall gameplay. The first 3/4 to 4/5 of the game seemed very easy, had very forgiving platforming throughout it, and then I got to the very end of the game and it ramped up 180. The difficulty of the game just suddenly became very unforgiving and quite tedious to say the least. And overall, in terms of the story, I just kind of left feeling like it didn't make too much sense. Without going into spoiler territory, the story involves the main character, who is around 6 years old, being left with this incredible responsibility. And to me, it just didn't make sense that a 6-year-old would be left to do this really important task. I feel like it would have made so much more sense if the main character had been aged up a bit, perhaps. So for this reason, I feel like I maybe wasn't as immersed as I maybe could have been. So because of those reasons, with the story as well as the unbalanced gameplay, I think I'm going to put Europa in our 4th position today at a C rank. Again, although it was really beautiful with its art style and voice acting and sound score, it just did not do it enough for me. The next game that I want to talk about is Everhome. Although I might not spend too much time talking about this one because the amount of time I've spent playing it is smaller compared to some of the other games on our list today, I will say the time that I did play it was pretty enjoyable, especially in terms of the very cute pixel art style, as well as some of the gameplay mechanics, especially with the farming, adventuring around town, and getting to know the townsfolks. My only critiques for this game would be that the time mechanic in the game just seemed to go by very quickly, as well as some of the dialogue in the game was very quick to the point that I couldn't even read it. So I think just with a little bit more time in the oven, this game will be absolutely fantastic. So with that said, especially with the good bones and potential that this one has, I think I'm going to put Everhome at a B rank for us, right in the middle tier. The next one that we're going to talk about is Epic Mickey Rebrushed. If you're like me and played the original Epic Mickey on the Wii over 14 years ago, then I'm sure you were also really excited for this re-release that came out back in September of last year. I've gotta say, the new developers Purple Lamp did a really great job of revitalizing the original game created by Junction Point Studios. The game from my childhood and that nostalgia was so brilliant to see in its revitalized textures and HD formats. I will say though that throughout my time playing, I did experience some game-breaking glitches, including one where I was just in an infinite loading loop when I went into a certain building. And the only way that I was able to fix it was by going into the coding of the game and inserting a certain piece of code, which the only way that I would have been able to do that was thanks to the wonderful people on the Steam community help forums, as well as Reddit. So thank you guys. Thanks for letting me continue with the game. But with that said, I really would not expect that from such a big publisher to have something so broken. So taking that into consideration, along with the fun gameplay, I think we're going to put Epic Mickey Rebrushed at a B rank for today. The next game that we're going to talk about is one that I know a lot of you guys have been excited for, and it is called Fields of Mystera. I think for some people who have never played Fields of Mystera before, they can't help but wonder if it's a Stardew Valley clone or not. Which, in my opinion, is a fair question, because in today's age with cozy gaming, we have seen a lot of Stardew clones. Stardew Valley was really groundbreaking in terms of the whole farming sim genre. And even though it did take some inspiration from Harvest Moon, which is one of, if not the original farming sim game, Stardew really did a great job of creating something of its own and original. And in some ways, I feel like Fields of Mystera is the same way, in that, yes, it did take inspiration from Stardew Valley and used a lot of similar gameplay mechanics. It did also add in its own things, like with the usage of magic throughout the game. And I gotta say, this might be a hot take, I really like the character designs in Fields of Mystera much better than the Stardew ones. Fields of Mystera has a lot to do in the game already, even though as the time of this video, it's only in early access. So I think you'll have a lot of fun playing this one if you haven't tried it out before. However, I'd say maybe one of my biggest critiques about the game is the time mechanic throughout it, and how quickly time passes on the clock, to the point that it almost feels stressful instead of actually like fun and enjoyable. So although that will play into my decision making for its ranking today, I can't help but have so much love for this game and a lot of excitement for the future updates that it has in store. So, with that said, I'm going to put Fields of Mystera at an A rank today. Next up is a game called Goo Town. I was really excited when this game first came out because it was created by the same developer as one of my favorite cozy games, Grow: Song of the Evertree. If you haven't played that game, by the way, highly recommend. To a bit of my sadness, I came to find out that it was far different from any game that they had developed before. But I think what they did is maybe saw the success of Animal Crossing and decided to piggyback off of that a little bit and create something similar. However, where it differs from Animal Crossing, I feel like with the AC series, I really love all of the characters who are well developed and well written, and you get invested in them. Whereas in this game, I didn't feel like there was any set character or backstory for me to get invested in. Just overall, it feels like the entire game lacks soul. Although I think the devs did try to implement some unique mechanics to differentiate itself from any other cozy game out there on the market, such as some unique inventory mechanics, as well as how the tool system works in the game. They just end up feeling more tedious and not user-friendly more than anything. I know I was really harsh on the critique on this one, but I don't think it was rough enough for me to put it in our last ranking. And the game is still under development, so I'm hoping that the devs will continue putting in improvements into the game. So with all of that said, we're going to put Goo Town in the C ranking for today, right next to Europa. Next up is Garden Witch Life, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about with this one. When the demo for this game first came out, I dare say it was one of the best demos that I had played in a long time, where you play as a cozy little witch who moves to this new island and into a beautiful treehouse to take care of gardening and develop friendships with the townsfolk. Although the demo did need a lot of work in terms of its energy systems throughout the game, its economic system, as well as its gardening, I figured, oh, it's a demo. They're still working on it, and the full game will be a lot better. Right? Right? So the full game comes out, and it honestly does not feel like they changed anything from the demo. Still very half-baked and almost as though nobody tested it beforehand. The game had this energy system that, as opposed to offering something unique to the game, just added extra stress to it that didn't need to be there. For instance, you already have 3 or 4 different things you have to pay attention to in the game, such as your hunger and your hydration. So this extra feature on top of that you had to pay attention to, and that essentially locked you out of being able to play the game unless it was like taken care of, really did nothing for it but harm it. Because the game was so underbaked and honestly more stressful than actually fun to play when it came out, I would maybe have put this game at a D rank. However, I have heard that since I played, the developers have listened to the community and their feedback and put out updates. I personally just have not gone back to actually test out these updates yet and see how they are. So, because it does seem like they might be listening and willing to listen to player feedback, I am going to put this one also at a C rank for today. We're not ready for the D rank yet, not quite. All right, the next game is called Islands of Insight. I was really excited for Islands of Insight before it came out, because as someone who loves adventure games and puzzle games, it was not only marketing itself as putting those 2 genres together, but for one of the first times in gaming history, offering a puzzle game in an online co-op form where you could solve puzzles together with your friends. So lo and behold, to my unpleasant surprise, that when the game finally came out, there were no co-op features to be seen. For some reason, towards the end of development, the developers chose to completely erase the one thing that really made this puzzle game unique. And although when you go into the game, you can see other players running around, you can't actually interact with them in any way or actually solve puzzles with them. I wasn't able to play this game for more than an hour before I had to put it down and got bored. And since I last played this game, I have heard that things have gotten drastically worse. As of the time of this video, Islands of Insight came out less than a year ago, and the publishers Behavior Interactive have already shut down the servers and completely abandoned the development of the game. So if you check out Islands of Insight on Steam today, you'll probably notice there are understandably a lot of upset players who spend anywhere from $30 to $40 USD on the game just for it to shut down in less than a year. For such a big publisher's behavior, I was really disappointed to see such gross behavior towards players. And in addition to that, my own experience of the game just being not good. Without question, Islands of Insight is going to be our first D-ranking of the day. Do not bother by spending your money on this one. Alrighty, next we have Luma Island. Luma Island was another game that I played the demo for before it came out and instantly was wowed. But with this game, the full game coming out definitely did not disappoint, and if anything, only furthered my love for the game. I kind of describe it as a mix between Stardew Valley and Minecraft, with a very unique take on the voxel art style. There's plenty to do in the game, including choosing different professions that let you do things like hunting down pirate treasure, farming, and taking care of cute, precious critters along the way. The exploration in the game is incredibly rewarding, where you'll probably find hidden treasures around every little nook and cranny that you seek. I've been playing this game back since it came out in November, and honestly don't foresee myself wrapping up with it anytime soon. So if you're like me and enjoy games where there's a bunch to do and a bunch of exploration to check out, then highly recommend you check out Luma Island. So for this lovely game here, I think we're going to put Luma Island at our third S rank of the day. I really don't have anything bad to say about it. It's incredible. It's great. Here we have On Your Tail. Speaking of demos, this was another one that I tried the demo for and was really wowed by. It had this gameplay that was incredibly different from anything that I had done before, such as this unique board game mechanic used to solve puzzles and mysteries. Sounds fun, right? Well, the fun just about ended there because then the full game came out and my opinion differed a little bit from there. For the full game, not only did they have the unique board game minigame, but also about 30 other minigames throughout it that overall to me just felt like the game lacked focus. And not only did it lack focus in terms of the minigames, but also in terms of the story. There was this key main story that, for me, kept me playing the game longer than I would have otherwise, because it was very intriguing. However, a lot throughout the game, it was almost like this main story was just completely forgotten, and you were trailing off with these side quests, and it's just like, whoa, but like, what happened with like this main thing over here? And with the plethora of minigames and puzzles, I think it'd be one thing if they were actually fun, but a lot of them just end up being either tedious or not working in the way that they should due to unclear directions or multiple solutions. Additionally, it feels like time and assets were spent on this game in places where they shouldn't have been versus places where they should have been. Such as, for instance, the graphics quality in the game was very subpar, and although there were probably close to 50 characters that were created for the game, only about 5 to 10 of them you actually see as 3D models throughout the game, whereas the rest of them are just hand-drawn characters that you get to see a drawing of, but the character is hidden behind a door. So the overall world does not feel alive and lived in. Okay, one last critique. The development team, I believe, is Italian, and I feel like they did not do a great job of localization for the game, meaning the different translations. So a lot of the dialogue that I ended up finding did not feel compelling, as if this is how real people talk, and just ended up feeling like fluff writing. If it wasn't for the main core story being compelling and keeping me interested, I probably would have put this game at a D ranking, but because of that main story keeping me semi-interested in this one, I'm going to put On Your Tail at a C ranking. All right, let's talk about Garden Life, a cozy simulator. For anyone who knows me, you might know that I'm typically not a simulator game type fan, just because a lot of the times your main or only task is to run a shop or a business. But a lot of the time with these types of games, there is a lack of overarching goal that you are aspiring to achieve. So I end up feeling like, okay, why am I even bothering with this? What is my overall purpose in doing it? And lose interest very quickly. However, out of all of the simulator type games that are flooding the market right now, I've got to say that Garden Life Cozy Simulator may be the most time that I've ever spent in a simulator type game. One of the things that impressed me most with this game is the plant growing mechanics and just how the beautiful flowers continue to grow and you were able to prune them in any way that you want. I feel like a lot of farming and gardening sim type games could really learn a lot from this one in that regard. So the game came out on February 22nd of 2024, and it's been a while since I last played. So coming back now and reevaluating it, I found some not so great news in scouring the Steam community. There's been a lot of claims that some of the art throughout the game not only was created with AI, but some of it actually stolen from other media. It's been almost a month since some of these claims came out, and in digging around, I couldn't find any place where the developer or publisher reached out and said, hey, yeah, we acknowledge that this happened. It's true, we made a mistake. I don't know what went on behind the scenes at the developer Still Alive Studios, but I do know that sometimes with development of games, they outsource certain things like art to other artists to handle for the game itself as opposed to doing them in-house. Again, I don't know that this was the case in this game, and for all of the art, it might have differed depending on what part of the game and what art specifically, but there have been other instances before where an artist or a sound designer will kind of go rogue and do something that they shouldn't, and the developers and publishers don't realize until the game has come out and players have called it out. So with that said, I don't know if the developers and publishers were aware of it beforehand. But now that they are, as of the time of this video, it's been almost a month since some of these claims have been brought to the attention of the dev and publishing team. And from everything that I've been able to find, neither team has said anything about these claims, which is really disappointing to see. Here's hoping that the dev or publishing team will come forward and address these claims in the near future. And at that point, I may reevaluate how I feel about this game. But until that point, because we do not stand stolen art in this cozy gaming community, I think I'm going to have to put Garden Life, a cozy simulator, at D. That's a D for disappointment. Alright, next up is Passing By, a Tailwind Journey. This is another game that I did not spend a whole lot of time playing, but in the couple hours that I did check it out, I did feel like the overall gameplay was simple and easy enough to understand. So if you're looking for a new little cozy game to check out with some adventuring and puzzles to experience, then I think you might like this one. It had some cute story and art style to it. So for Passing By, a Tailwind Journey, I think we'll put this one in our middle B rank section today, right with Everhome and Epic Mickey. All right, The Witch of Fern Island. That's what we're talking about next here. This was a game that I was incredibly excited for, not only because it fell within that farming life simulator genre, but you also play as a cute witch with some lovely red hair. But I swear the bias ends there because this game's potential did not match up with the actual gameplay. I was originally really impressed by the really largely designed open world, but came to find that the overall gameplay just felt very half-baked and unfinished. One of the last straws for me was when I got to a point with the quest where I needed a certain material, but after spending almost a month in game, I could not find it for the life of me. So eventually just decided to go onto the helpful Steam community forums and look to see if anyone could help me. And come to find out, this certain material could only be found within a certain month that I had not even gotten to in the game. So, in order to progress with this really important quest, I had to basically just sit around and twiddle my thumbs for the next month in game. And there was nowhere in game that described like where to find this item or how to progress. It was just very frustrating and unclear, and I feel like the overall gameplay kind of fits with that same theming. I might have had my hopes and set my expectations too high for this game, but overall, The Witch of Fern Island was just a huge disappointment. So, I think we're gonna put this one in the D rank. All right, we're going to wrap things up though with a little bit of a better note, and that is one of the best cozy games that I played throughout 2024, and it was Infinity Nikki. Infinity Nikki came out at the end of the year, right at the beginning of December. And when it first came out, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit hesitant. I had never played any of the previous Nikki games before, and I wasn't sure how I would feel about a dress-up game, and especially considering the game had some gacha in it. But lo and behold, I decided to try out the game when it came out, and boy am I glad I did. The in-game world is beautifully designed, featuring a lot of really rewarding exploration, where you can find hidden treasures in this corner and that corner. And not to forget the swoon-worthy outfits that you can find throughout the game. For anyone who hasn't played Infinity Nikki already, be warned that it does have a lot of gacha mechanics and microtransactions in it, so if you do not do well with that type of game, you might want to stay away from it. But with that said, although there is the option to pay in the game, there were so many opportunities that I found to be able to earn the paid currency just by playing, so it doesn't feel like you have to pay in order to play. My only complaints for the game are that I feel like it could do some better jobs in terms of its localization and translating certain dialogue in the game so it doesn't feel just like fluff or AI written, anything like that. And overall, the game just needs a huge overhaul in terms of its optimization so that it can better perform on certain platforms. But with that said, I have seen that the developers are working on the optimization of the game as well as other fixes for it too. So, despite the little nitpicks towards the end, again, this was one of the best cozy games that I played last year and am continuing to play this year. Shameless self promo. If you're not following me on Twitch, my name is WadeLady, and I play a bunch of comfy cozy games over on that channel. I'd love to hang out with you as we play this one and a bunch of comfy cozy games in 2025. Without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and put this right here at our top S rank. It was just wonderful. It was so good and really, really deserving of all the love and hype. Alrighty, so what did you think of my rankings for today? Please let me know down in the comments below what you thought of all of these games here. Would you have put them in the same tiers or maybe somewhere a little bit different? Thank you so much for watching today's video. Once again, my name is Wade, and I create a bunch of comfy cozy content here on YouTube where you can check out upcoming game news and game recommendation videos. So if you're not subscribed to me already, that would certainly be appreciated. And if you're looking to check out videos early, you can consider becoming a member here on my channel. I hope to see you in the next video, and I'm so excited to check out even more comfy cozy games in 2025 with you. Take care, friends.